I firmly believe that if you gave me a suit of armor, I could convince Joe Rogan he traveled back in time in less than 60 seconds. And if you gave me an old looking calendar that said 3 on it really big, I could do it in 20.
So this TikToker pointed out the fact that pretty much anybody that's in the room with Joe Rogan will agree with them. But why is that? Why does it seem that Joe Rogan is so willing to pick up on these ridiculous conspiracy theories, this anti-vax nonsense? He's always trying to make up some sort of new idea that in reality is pretty disconnected from the truth. And it all seems to be based on whatever guest Joe Rogan happens to have in the room at the time. And this is really the problem. Because to make matters even worse, there's another layer to this.
I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is. There's both.
Well, let's look that up because I don't think that's true. 12 to 17 more likely to develop myocarditis within 3 months of catching COVID at a rate of 450 cases per million infection. This compares to 67 cases of myocarditis per million at the same time following their second dose of Pfizer.
Yeah, so you're about 8 times likelier to get myocarditis from getting COVID than from getting the vaccine.
That's interesting.
Now,
that is
said,
not what I've read before, but also it's like, even when we're reading these things, it's like, what are we getting this from?
If somebody comes up and says, hey, can you consider that maybe the world is actually flat? And, think about this. And then you have somebody else who says, no, the world is definitely round and definitely not flat. And then you have somebody like Joe Rogan look at those two ideas. Somebody like Joe Rogan, in an effort to be a reasonable person, will say, well, come on, man. You can't just say that the world is round. That's so rude. At least this person's just trying to explore new ideas. And, they're just questioning. They're just asking questions. Now, this is a problem that happens when somebody decides to be too reasonable. They're like, oh, look at me. I'm just this reasonable guy, Joe Rogan. No big deal. And if somebody says something to me, I'm going to take it and I'm going to cut it in half and say, oh, well, maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. Let's look at both sides. And when people look at both sides like that, what they basically do is they take reality and they put it on the same level as pure fiction. And this is a pattern of thought you'll see among a lot of people. These people tend to be incredibly contrarian, and anytime anybody makes a claim in front of them, they'll try to debunk it. But why is this so much a problem? This is so much of a problem because unfortunately the American political system has done that with extreme right-wingers and in some cases literal Nazis, where you'll have these Joe Rogan types that are like, hey, let's just be a chill guy and drink a beer and not think about the people that he's drinking a beer with. In the case of believing in a flat earth, that's not something that's particularly harmful, but that's definitely harmful when it comes to vaccines. It's definitely harmful when it comes to platforming extreme right fascists. It's definitely harmful when you're talking about these very important issues about whether or not we should deal with a pandemic. And so when people say that they're being reasonable, what they often end up doing is just giving people a pass to be terrible in one way or another. And in this instance, Joe Rogan has tried to pretend to be reasonable to the extent that people in his audience are doubtful about the vaccine and people in his audience are refusing to get the vaccine. And Joe Rogan himself is claiming publicly that he's refusing to get the vaccine.
This is Ben Carollo with Rebel Headquarters. You can catch my show Galaxy Brain on the Young Turks Twitch channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to stay up to date with my content, you can follow me at Benjamin Carollo on Twitter. And for those of you that might be wondering or have noticed, my pronouns are in fact she, her.